I've lived in that house all of my life. It's hard to imagine being somewhere else for the next 4 years. This is my cousin's house, Chuck Crane. Things have a way of coming easy to Chuck. He never seems to try hard for anything. But he's always had big ideas, and I really don't think he felt the town was big enough for him.
Be a good boy, Tom. Remember, I don't want you to change. Come back just as you are.
No, Anna. Don't tell the boy that. People always change. They don't stand still.
Southbound bus, now loading.
That's us, cuz. So long, folks. See you in the wild blue yonder.
Just one thing, Tom. Make the most of these 4 years.
I'll sure try. So long, folks.
Tom, take care of yourself.
All aboard, please.
Having to get his hair cut really hurt old Chuck. Those sideburns were his pride and joy. So this is basic training. Drilling in the Air Force yet. If I'd wanted to walk, I'd have joined the Army. Man, they cut your hair, shoot you full of poison, drill the pants off you, then make you sit and get lectured at. What a life. Well, we're almost through basic. Could be worse. Chuck didn't care much for basic training. Who does? We ended up at Keesler Air Force Base. Electronic Center of the Air Force. We were sort of surprised to get so much math right at the beginning, but I found out later it was darned important. It wasn't easy for me. I had to bone to make the grade. But I really had the feeling that I was learning something. I kept wondering about Chuck. He did enough work to get by, but I knew he could do better if he really wanted to. Soon we were assigned to a giant radome tower where there was plenty to learn about radar. Before we went to work, the commander told us something about how all this training could be useful.
You know, Crane, a man's attitude in service or out is mighty important to his future. I want you to understand this. These 4 years could do an awful lot to shape your whole life.
Maybe. But the way I feel about it, my most important years will come when I've finished my hitch and I've gone to the big city to begin my business career. You know, sir?
I'm afraid I don't. In my book, Crane, getting by can get to be a habit that's bound to catch up with you. I've known many boys like you who feel that after their service is over, they can go back to the corner drugstore and the high school crowd and pick right up where they left off. But it doesn't work that way. You change whether you realize it or not, for better or for worse.
Could be.
Well, it's up to you, whatever you want to do. But I assure you that if you think you're fooling everybody by just getting by, the only one you're really kidding is yourself.
Give to the Air Force, and the Air Force will give to you. Just about the same line my old man used to hand out. And the high school. Always preaching at you.
I don't know. I think what the old man said made sense. As long as I can learn something. Learn something from the service, something that'll help me when I get out. I'd be a chump not to latch on to it.
Man, you really went for the captain's pitch, didn't you? Me, I'm all for what the guy says. Don't volunteer for nothing. It's going to be my motto from here on out. No sweat.
This is the kind of work that we would soon be doing. These fellows are viewing and reporting on wave frames that register on the oscilloscope. For now, our job was to get practical experience in the maintenance of the equipment we've been studying for the past 18 weeks.
So as your training here nears completion, you'll find more and more time for outside activities. To give you some idea of just what they include, I've asked our projectionist, Sergeant Williams, to throw a few of them on the screen for you. We're fortunate to be near water at this base, and the Air Force furnishes the boat and the bait. The rest is up to you. For the fellows who like to keep up with the latest science fiction, novels, plays, etc., the Air Force is mighty proud of its modern, up-to-date library system. The Hobby and Woodworking Shop. Quite a place. Naturally, the auto shop is of particular interest to men who want to save money making their own repairs and improvements. Those of you who don't have any kids of your own might get a big kick out of participating in the Little League baseball activities. Whether you just sang in the bathtub at home or over the leading tenor of the barbershop quartet, you'll get a great kick out of being part of our male chorus. Most of us here in America have been blessed with some sort of spiritual training. Whatever faith or denomination you may belong to, there will be nothing in life so rewarding as keeping close to your religion. Those of you interested in advancing your education while you're in the service would do well to consult the educational advisor concerning the completion of high school and college courses, as well as the opportunity to get a full college education while you're in the Air Force. Now, the educational advisor is just across the hall as you leave. That is all.
Since I had already finished high school, I hadn't planned to do any more studying. But I thought I'd go in to see the educational advisor and find out what the deal was. I guess I shouldn't have tried to get Chuck to go along, because he only tried to talk me out of it.
Actually, Patterson, if you took just a couple of courses at night here at the local state college, by the end of your hitch, you'd be a long way toward a degree.
I always thought I'd like to go to college to learn more about business administration, maybe. Maybe get a degree in that. You know, you can meet a lot of nice people at school, and a couple of weeks later, I was walking out of class with one of them when I bumped into Chuck. From the look on his face, you could tell that he hadn't realized the full advantages of a co-educational institution. I knew what Chuck could do if given an opportunity, so I tried to shake him. No luck. I'd known her 3 weeks and hadn't had a date with her. I just wondered how long it would be before Chuck would ask her out. Not long. There was a service club dance 2 nights later, and there he was, acting like he knew her long before I did. I wonder if I could. Well, I'm glad they started with something simple. The next Saturday, I wanted to try my luck fishing, but Chuck had other ideas. He was going to town to see if he could land a date. Said he was going to fish his way, and I could fish mine. I couldn't help wondering if Chuck had had the same luck with his fishing. Turned out that Chuck found the town dead as a doornail. He not only missed the boat with her, but he missed the bus back to the base. Then he met up with Bud Applegate, some guy who was real disgusted with the town and the Air Force. Something like Chuck. This Bud Applegate was the kind of guy you hear around the barracks a lot. Always full of ideas about how you could beat the system if you were just smart enough. He advised Chuck to raise a little trouble, just enough to get thrown out. Ordinarily, Chuck would have passed up this kind of advice, but I think some of it stuck with him. Maybe it was because he was feeling low after a pretty bad day.
Alone is worth more than 75 cents. Now let's really have a bid here. Who is going to bid on this supper?
I'll double the bid. $1.50.
$1.50. Now we're getting somewhere. $1.50. Going once. $1.50 two times.
$2.50.
$2.50. There's a real bid. $2.50 once. $2.50 twice.
$5.
$5. There is a bid. $5. Going for $5 once. Going twice. Sold to Chuck Crane for $5. And now we have the next one coming up here. This is a beautiful box lunch, and it's going to be a good one. Now, what am I bid for this next?
I've got to admit, Chuck can dance. Well, I'd better find out about me. Here goes nothing.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Patterson, but I have some bad news.
What is it, sir?
Well, we've just got word that your father's been hurt in a car accident.
How badly was he hurt?
They don't know yet. All we know is that he was coming back from a hunting trip with a Mr. Crane. Say, isn't that your uncle?
Yes, my uncle, Chuck's father. Can I get a leave?
Yes. Orders are being cut now. And if you need money, a loan can be arranged.
Thank you, sir. What about Chuck Crane?
I'll talk to him. His father wasn't injured, but he may want to call home. In the meantime, you better get a move on things if you're going to make connections. And by the way, before you leave, the captain wants to see you. Okay?
Yes, sir. Susan, I'm sorry. Would you...
Of course, Tom. Run along.
Wait up, Tom. I'm going with you.
You are? But why? Your dad wasn't hurt.
How do they know my dad wasn't hurt? Maybe he was. I'll be right out. Sir, I'm Airman Crane. My father was in a car accident with Patterson's. I'd like emergency leave.
We know all about it, Crane. We've talked to Mrs. Patterson.
But if you talk to my folks...
Oh, we're still trying to get a call through, but we have talked to Mrs. Patterson.
Mrs. Patterson, she wouldn't
We
know
checked
anything.
with the hospital, only Mr. Patterson needed attention. But if you like, as soon as the circuits are clear, we'll contact your home.
Chuck was plenty put out about not being able to go with me. It was about that time that some of Bud Applegate's advice began to have its effect. The more he thought about the situation, the more he became convinced that he was really needed at home and that the Air Force just didn't care. So he got panicky, and instead of talking out the problem with someone, he went over the hill. They threw the book at him. He lost a strike and got 6 days of the toughest work he'd ever done. Plenty of time to think over what the commander had told him.
Crane, you're not pulling your weight. You're not being fair to the Air Force or yourself, and it's time you change your attitude. It isn't so much what you're doing to a service that's trying to help you, it's what you're doing to yourself.
6 months later, we got real lucky. We were assigned to a base in Germany. The thing that impressed me most was that people are the same wherever you go. If you're friendly with them, they're friendly with you. Chuck wasn't interested in the country or the people. To him, they were just a lot of foreigners. These are my good friends August Link and his son Hans. I fished in their farm stream 6 or 7 weekends until Chuck spoiled it for both of us. Chuck was changing all the time. He would turn you down even if you went out of your way to do him a favor. I thought he'd like to get to know some new people. I made a lot of arrangements, hired a car. And when I turned around to introduce him, no Chuck. My friend August knew where the fish were really biting. And me, I'd left my fishing knife on the bridge. Hans had started back to get it almost before I knew it was gone. His father and I took the shortcut into the woods, not knowing that as the boy reached the bridge, that crazy cousin of mine was speeding toward it. I didn't see much of Chuck after that. He got transferred, and I heard he ran into trouble again. I lost track of Chuck until after he had been released from the Air Force as unfit and had headed for the big time. Mom wrote me that things weren't going too well with him. His record seemed to keep him from getting the sort of job he wanted. Finally, he was flat broke and had to go home. Then I ran into some tough luck myself. Even before I knew anything was wrong, Mom was on the phone to my CO. Seems Dad's old auto injury was acting up, and, well, hardware profits were being eaten up by the 2 men needed to replace him. So I applied for a hardship discharge. After the Air Force investigated, Major Wallace called me in, told me the Air Force hated to lose me. They didn't hate it near as much as I did. I was going to miss out on a whole lot of education that had been all planned out. I'd already signed up for 3 college courses. Well, pitch in at the store, that was all the choice I had. So I had to say goodbye to an Air Force career. The next few months were plenty busy. My business administration course had taught me there was a time to skimp and a time to borrow and expand. Dad's credit was A1, and he agreed to the expansion. A lot happened that year. I finally talked Susan into marrying me and the store. Chuck was at the wedding. He was back in the drugstore with his father, just as it was before he went into the Air Force. Only things had changed for the worse.
All you've done since you got out of high school is goof off. You goofed off in the store.
Ah, lay off, Pop. All those old fogies wanted was a lemonade.
I don't care if they came in here to use the phone. I'm sick of having them complain about the way they're treated. I'm sick.
You're sick! What the heck do you think I am?
Shut up, you insolent pup! I put up with just about all I can take from you.
That does it. I'm getting out of here. And I'm not coming back.
With your record, nobody else in this town will hire you. You can't go back in the Air Force, and you'll never work in this store again. In fact, where will you get a job?
Hey, cuz, wait up.
How's David?
Oh, he's fine, thank you. Congratulate yourself, kid. You're about to hire the best doggone salesman in the business.
I am. Who?
Ha ha, very funny. Look, cuz, I quit the drugstore. Cold.
But why?
I was thinking about going back to New York. But Emmy and I are kind of hitting it off right now. So I thought, well, in any case, with all this new stock that you and your old man have been sinking dough into for the store, what you need right now is a hotshot salesman, right?
That's right. We do, but well, we're short of cash. We had to borrow money from the bank for most of this stuff.
But I'll move the stuff. You don't want me to leave town, cuz. Come on, Susie, tell him. He needs me.
I'll tell you what we might do. We might put you on a commission basis and say a small salary of $25 a week.
25? Are you nuts? I made more than that in the drugstore.
With commissions, what you make is up to you.
Yeah, sure, I've heard that pitch before. I need more till I get going. 45.
Really, Chuck, I don't see how we could do it.
That's how it is, huh? Okay, cuz. I'll be seeing you.
Where you going?
I'm getting out of here. For good. I'm through with a whole bunch of you. I'm clearing out.
Chuck! What should I have done? How can we help that guy?
You've tried, Tom. Everyone has. I guess the only one who hasn't is Chuck.